We on 93, 93, 93. This is the Mon Natural. Wait a minute. All right. Okay. This is the Mon Natural Renew from AshaRenew.com. I don't know. I'm just in a good mood. All right, let's get into it. All right. So today I want to speak on good timing will always be more effective than free will. Timing is key. Your rituals must be in season. So let me break it down. Currently, the sun is in Virgo. The moon is in Scorpio. If we're talking about the seasons, we're currently in the summer, and we are 3 weeks from the fall. So the first thing we must understand is you must identify whether you are utilizing the energies of the sun or the energies of the moon. Because if you are utilizing the energies of the sun, you can say that's more so seasonal magic. And if you are utilizing the energies of the moon, you can say this magic is more based on the lunar cycles. It's not really based on seasons. It's more so based on the feel. It's more subconscious. It's more internal. Also, the moon is waxing currently. We know that the moon is either waxing, that means the moon is getting bigger, or waning, which means the moon is getting smaller. So we should know, well, if the moon is getting bigger, that means energy is building up. So your ritual should be about, you could say, bringing energy in. So if you're pulling energy towards yourself, that will be more effective in a waxing moon versus a waning moon. Because if we are dealing with a waning moon, this represents energy being released. So any rituals dealing with the release of energy or the removal of energy, that will be more effective in a waning moon. The moon is in Scorpio once again, and we know Scorpio deals with death and renewal. So if you want to, you can say, kill yourself, not physically, but mentally, spiritually, to take yourself through a rebirth, to take yourself through a new age, to take yourself through the fires of Pluto, death and resurrection, well, this will be the time to do so because the moon is in Scorpio, and that is the currency of Scorpio. So if you're going to do a ritual, we must take notes of these things if we want to be successful. This is why we must release our free will and live out our divine will or our true will. Because let's just say, we may want something. We may have a desire. But if we are not paying attention to the astrological alignments, the odds of you being able to do what you're trying to do and the planets are not supporting you, I'm not saying it's going to be impossible, but you're definitely making it a lot harder for yourself, not knowing if the planets are supporting your goals or making your goals harder to achieve. So this is why we must take these things into consideration, because the planets may actually be working against what you're trying to manifest, depending on the time that you're manifesting. Versus depending on the alignments, it may make it a lot easier. And you may call it luck, you may call it chance, when in actuality, the planets are just supporting you in that particular energy that you're pulling towards yourself or pushing out of your life. So you see, this goes right back to astronomy. It goes right back to astrology. So even if you don't get into the specifics, even if you're not really, into political astrology, knowing what's going on with world events, even if you keep it strictly personal, this essentially represents the foundation. This represents the foundation in terms of astrology and astronomy helps us to determine what we should be doing depending on the time we are in or the season we are in. This is why we have seasons. Remember, everything has a exoteric version and a esoteric version, a outward version and a inner version. So essentially what we see outside as summer or what we see outside as fall, this also has an effect on your internal universe. So it's not just a external universe or the holographic universe, it's also the internal universe. We also go through seasons internally because after all, we are stars. We are universes in and of ourselves. We are complete in and of ourselves. So that means we also go through seasons internally. That's the whole science of your progressed chart. That's the whole science of your solar return. That's the whole science of your lunar return. That's you keeping track of your personal cycles. That's why we know the lunar return occurs once a month. So every month you have a lunar return in which your energy resets. And then every year your energy resets. Your solar energy resets once a year and your lunar energy resets 12 times a year. Because the moon goes through the entire zodiac in 30 days, and we know it takes the sun 365 days to make its way around the constellations. So if we are paying attention to what is occurring outside of us, it helps us, to understand what's going on inside of us. So in the season of death, for example, because fall is coming up, so that means the season of death is coming up, things will begin to die. So this will be the time, if you're going off solar energy, to remove things out of your life. So for the month, not for the month, for the season of fall, this will be the season to work your magic, work your rituals, removing unwanted energies, unwanted currencies, karmic currencies, whatever. This is the time to remove things. So this is why a lot of people's magic is seasonal. The equinoxes and the solstice. When it comes to lunar magic or moon magic, this is for the people who may want to move a lot more quicker. So for example, if you're trying to bring energy in, let's just say it's fall. If fall is about releasing energy, what if you want to bring in energy? So instead of being out of season or waiting for the spring, because bringing in energy, you can say that's the springtime. Instead of you having to wait to the spring, the solar spring, all you have to do is wait till the lunar spring. Remember, the sun has seasons, but the moon also has seasons. So you have a solar fall. It's just like you have a solar spring, but you also have a lunar fall and a lunar spring in accordance to the zodiac. So in other words, you can say Libra marks the season of fall. Because yeah, we're currently in Virgo season, so by the time fall comes in, we will be moving towards Libra. So you can say the season of Libra represents fall to remove energy. So if you want to bring in energy, you basically will have to wait till the moon is in Aries instead of just doing it because you feel like doing it or because you can say you're just going through whatever you're going through. So you need to make things happen immediately. If we don't get the results we're looking for, it's because it was out of season. The planets were not supporting whatever we were going through on an internal level. So all I'm saying here is do your best to keep your magic in season, whether it's the season according to the sun or the lunar energy. What's up, X24? Salam. This is essentially what I'm saying is, you know, that's why last video I was speaking about, you know, spirituality as we know it now puts this battery in your back. What I mean by that is the law of attraction and all that makes us feel like we can just do whatever we want. Well, I want to manifest, I should be able to manifest what I want. Whenever I want, however I want. That's Neptunian thinking. That's how Neptune operates. That's why Neptune is the energy of chaos, but it's also the energy of spirituality, which is something that you can say it cannot be measured. You can't measure a spirit. So a lot of people that consider themselves spiritual, they are operating from a realm of non-measurement. I'm just gonna do it because I want to do it because I feel like doing it. Then there's nothing else. There was no intentions of, okay, well, what should I be doing instead of what do I want to do? What should I be doing right now? You see, that changes the entire dynamics when you ask yourself, what should I be doing instead of what do I want to do? Fuck your wants, fuck your desires, especially if it's out of season. There's a time and place for everything. We all know that, right? There's a season for everything. There's a time for everything. It may simply not be the time for you to do what the fuck you want to do. It may be a time, basically, if you're trying to bring in energy, but the time is to release energy. You releasing energy is going to be more effective than you bringing in energy because the planets are not supporting that. But as you see, in modern times, we are not taking into consideration the astrological alignments because it's easy to do. It's hard to stay in tune with the planetary forces because they're changing all the time. So I understand. It's not easy to be precise like that. That's basically you being organized, you being precise, and you staying on code, which is not easy to do in these times when everybody just wants to do what they want to do. They're not trying to listen to nobody. They're not trying to hear anything. They just want what they want when they want it. So when I come in here telling you that maybe you should actually do it in accordance to the planets, make sure the planets are supporting you, they really ain't trying to hear all that. Because people are moving, you can say they're trying to keep up with the moon, but they don't understand lunar energy. Lunar energy resets itself every 30 days. Basically, every 2 days, the moon changes signs. The moon is only in a particular sign like 2 days. The moon moves 13 degrees every day. Every zodiac has 30 degrees. So after about 2.5 days, give or take, the moon is moving on to the next sign. So you ask yourself, how many people are switching up their rituals every 2.5 days? If you're really trying to move with the moon, if you're really trying to move at the speed of light, you can say, if you're really trying to make things happen quickly, well, the moon changes sign every 2 days. So that means when the moon changes signs, you should be making a change as well. But how many people are doing that? Again, it's not easy to do, so I'm not saying that like, well, how many, well, it's not too many people doing that because it's not easy to do. Like, okay, well, what should I be doing in the season of Aries? What should I be doing in the season of Taurus? What should I be doing in the lunar season, not the solar season, the lunar season? Because again, this is only 2.5 days. What should I be doing this 2.5 days? Then what should I do for the next 2.5 days? What should I do in the next 2.5 days? Now you're strategically doing things because the moon will support what you're doing. The outward moon, the holographic moon. This is what makes us mathematically inclined. This is how we begin to extract wisdom from the universe because you are doing things in accordance to the timing. For example, it may be an energy you want to understand a lot more. Maybe you want to understand the energy of Aries a lot more. What's up, Trinity? Greetings. Maybe you want to understand Aries a lot more. So when the moon is in Aries, that will be the time for you to go deeper into that Aries. Aries might be your 7th house cusp. So if you can say you're having problems with your 7th house, which is relationships, partnerships, contracts, survival, If you're having issues in that area and that area is ruled by Aries, then when the moon is in Aries, that will be the time to further explore that particular frequency so that you can have a better understanding as to how to deal with that energy within yourself. So you're doing external rituals to better understand, okay, how can I synchronize that energy more harmoniously? Because that's the whole sign of, not the whole sign, that's the whole point of even knowing astrology. You're not knowing it just for the sake of knowing it. You want to be able to harmonize all 12 zodiac signs. That's what we're here to do. We're here to harmonize. We're here to basically the 360 degrees of your chart. You're basically asking yourself, how can I harmoniously mix these energies? How can I harmoniously mix these currencies? You must understand the individual currencies before you understand how to harmonize them. Just think about it as actual currency. So let's just say you had 12 different currencies. You got the US dollar, you got the pound, right? You got some yen, you got some Japanese money, Chinese money. Let's just say you got money from 12 different places. We understand you can't spend certain currencies in certain places. Meaning if you go to the gas station right now and you hand them a Canadian dollar trying to pay for your gas and you're in America, they're not going to take that. You will have to go and convert that Canadian money into American money. Then you can do what you want. That's essentially the science that we're trying to understand here. Access to these 12 currencies. Everybody has access to the 12 zodiacs. It's in everybody's chart. It's just arranged differently depending on the time you're born. So everybody has particular arrangements, but it's the same 12 energies. It's the same 12 frequencies. You're just learning how to utilize these harmoniously. In other words, knowing where to spend the money or how to direct the currency. You know where to direct the currency of Aries because you know, okay, well, that's my seventh house. So whenever I'm thinking about Aries, I know that that's going to stimulate my seventh house, for example. So the more you understand Aries, the more you're going to understand your seventh house because that's the theme of your seventh house. And again, that's internally. We also have the external. So I'm just encouraging everyone, get off of the wave of just doing whatever you want when you want and expecting results. This is not how we have to move. We have to be strategic. And in order to be strategic, you have to keep your eye on the stars. You have to keep your eyes above you so that you can understand what's happening below you. And what I mean below you, like inside of you. Your internal clock. We must understand the external clock to understand our internal clock. This is degrees of alchemy. This is why so many people are not into astrology. Like, I'm just being real at this point. Hold on. This is why astrology is so hard to master. Because it's not just knowing the attributes of the zodiac signs. It's not just knowing the attributes of the planets. That's the introduction. That's for you to just comprehend what's going on. That's not the end all be all. So you knowing the qualities of the planets and you knowing the qualities of the zodiac, that just gives you the ability to interpret what's going on. But you see, that's just how you interpret. That's not going to give you the interpretation because you know what the sun means and you know what Aries means. Yes, you may know what they mean on an individual basis, but when you begin to merge or harmonize these forces, now they must be interpreted differently. You must take into consideration two different forces that are blending together. What happens when these forces blend together? Now you see, now it's chemistry. But that's why it's called alchemy. Because so the same way a chemist is experimenting with chemicals in a laboratory, we're doing the same thing with the stars and the planets. It's all alchemy. How do I harmonize these energies, even energies that may be disagreeable? How do you make it so that You are not affected negatively, even if the energy is disagreeable. How do you take advantage of disagreeable energy? That's why the planets have aspects. When two planets are conjunct, you can say they are operating as one unit, but when they are in opposition, they're not seeing eye to eye. So you can say a conjunction is positive, but an opposition may not be positive. So let's just say the sun and moon are in opposition. So you can say your self, like your personal self, which you can say is the sun. The sun represents your personal power. Then your lunar power, which represents the subconscious. You can say the sun is the conscious mind, the moon is the subconscious mind. So if the sun and the moon are in opposition, that means your consciousness and your subconscious are not seeing eye to eye. So you knowing that ahead of time will stop a lot of bullshit from happening at that particular phase in your life. So for example, if you know that your sun and your moon are in opposition for a particular time, or externally or internally, like if you're looking at your progress chart and your progress chart has an opposition, or the external chart or the world chart has an opposition between the sun and the moon, that gives you insight as to what will occur. So essentially, if you see men and women arguing, you go like, oh yeah, that's because the sun and the moon are in opposition. So if you're hearing or seeing a lot of domestic arguments or domestic situations, people are at odds. Now you understand why. Instead of you taking it on face value and then making assumptions about what's going on, but you don't have any evidence. The astrology gives us the necessary evidence so that when things do occur, we're not caught off guard. Because that's what fucks most people up, is being caught off guard. You thinking shit is going good, then a wrench gets thrown into the operation, and now you're trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. However, the planets would have already warned you of that wrench. If you were paying attention, you would have already knew to expect that wrench, which then allow you to make a plan to counter that wrench. Like, oh yeah, I see that wrench is coming. So I'm gonna make sure when that wrench comes, I know how to navigate around it so that it doesn't affect me and catch me off guard and throw off my whole energy. Because that's what happens with most people. As soon as that wrench hits you, it throws off your whole operation. Then now you're in a whole nother state of mind. Now you're in a whole different consciousness because you're trying to recover because of that wrench. Versus if you were able to predict the coming of that wrench, imagine how different your response will be. So if the sun and the moon are in opposition, then you come home and you and your partner, let's just say, they're in a bad mood. They want to argue, or they're irritated. You know why. Instead of you taking it literally, like, damn, what the fuck did I do? See, that's normally how we do. If somebody in our personal space is not really feeling our energy, shit is uncomfortable, we assume that we did something. We assume that, okay, what the fuck did I do? Or we feel like, oh, they on some bullshit right now. So you see how that can lead into just more arguments, more tension, more misunderstanding, because we're not paying attention. If we was paying attention, you're like, okay, well, the sun and the moon are going to be in opposition for the next 2.5 days. So for the next 2.5 days, I have to be dealing with an opposition. So I'm already preparing myself. Let's just say if you do have a partner, you're already preparing yourself like, all right, this motherfucker is going to be on some shit for these 2 days. Let me make sure I stay calm, cool, and collected, because I know that they're going to be jumping the gun. I just had to make sure I don't, because if we both jump the gun, it's not going to end well. And I'm just using domestic experiences. This also occurs on the job. This also occurs in the world, just the sexes. Like, again, like if you're a man and you're trying to approach women or looking for a relationship, looking for a partnership, and you wonder why women are kind of giving you bad energy or bad vibes, instead of you looking at yourself like you're doing something wrong or something wrong with the women, You just come to the realization that, okay, this is just not the time for me to try to engage in that fashion, instead of taking it literally or taking it personally. You think there's something wrong with you, and you see that just takes you in a whole direction that you don't even need to be going down. Now you're questioning yourself, or you're questioning the women. Now the women become bitches and hoes, or now the men become, niggas and dogs. We go through this whole cycle, and it don't have nothing to do with any of that. It's just timing. This is not the time to be doing that. Wait till the sun and the moon conjunct, or they have a harmonious aspect. If it's a trine or a sextile, I'm just naming the aspects. Maybe you should wait until the aspects are favorable for you to engage in that, instead of trying to do it because you want to do it because you're horny, or because you want company and all. You see, that's where we're going off of emotions when we do that. And then we wonder why, again, if we don't get the energy that we're looking for, now it fucks up our vibe, and it just does not need to happen like that whatsoever if you are paying attention. So now, okay, let me wait 2 days. I know I want to go out. Let me wait 2 days. Let me wait till the moon changes energy. Let me wait till this opposition plays itself out. Or if I have to engage in people, I have to be extra careful. Because I know if I say something crazy, I may be trying to tell jokes, then people are taking it out of context. Especially, let's just say, if I'm a man trying to tell jokes to a woman and they take it out of context, I'm like, oh, well, you already know, like, oh, yeah, let me back off of that. This is just not the time for that. So you see, that stops and saves you a lot of energy, a lot of heartache, right? What's up, Queen? You sure have a lot on your mind? Well, I'm just doing my best to deliver content, I always have a lot going on mentally, but that's why I share it. That's why I share it. You know what I mean? I'm like, if it can be beneficial to other people, why not share it? I'm not trying to keep it all held within myself. So I want to do my best to make sure everybody has the ability to manifest whatever it is that they're trying to manifest, however they're trying to live. I'm just going to do my best to make sure that you're on point, right? Your knowledge was always beyond your time. Because I had to move my ego out the way, I had to move my ego out the way. I had to come to the realization it's not just about me. I appreciate that, Queen. It's not just about me. I can have all the knowledge in the world, but if I'm not sharing it, if I'm not teaching, what is it going to do? That's my whole thing. So yeah, I can have the knowledge of the universe, but if I'm not sharing it with you, what difference would it make? I would not be making a difference in anybody's life. So it's like, I'm just holding secrets, and it doesn't do anybody any good, and not even me. See, this is what I've learned. I'm like, it doesn't even help me. If I'm holding back, it doesn't benefit me either. Right? Exactly. Deflating the ego, you can see other people and feel, yes, that allows you to be more meditative. That allows you to be more intuitive. That allows you to tap into, you can say, the feminine force. You know what I mean? Because you realize, oh, this ain't about me. My partner is not snapping at me because I'm fucked up or I did something wrong. This is just about timing. This is about energy. So if you are the god of your reality, if you are the goddess of your reality, this is your responsibility to know these things. You are responsible for knowing these things. That means you are responsible for what occurs in your environment, because you're supposed to know. So if shit ain't the way it's supposed to be, sorry about that. If shit is not the way it's supposed to be, we can't blame anybody else. If you're God, again, I'm just saying God just to make a point here. Fuck God, but I'm just making a point. You are the divine. You are the divine. You are the divinity. There is nothing above you. All right, so I'm just using common terms so that we can understand where we're going with this. Because if I say, okay, you are the Anu, you are the Obatala, I guess people will still understand. Yeah, exactly. Guru of your own universe. Exactly. There you go. You are the guru. So that means you must know this. You must be a master of time. Not just your own time, but the time of everybody amongst you. Because you are the overseer. You are the navigator. You are the Moor. That's what it means to have this. Look, everybody is not blessed to have knowledge. I know that now. See, I had to learn that though. That's something I had to learn. That everybody is not blessed to have knowledge. So if you are blessed to have knowledge, it is your duty to share it, which is why I get on here and I share it. Meaning I know this is everybody doesn't have the time to study. Everybody doesn't have the time. We got families to raise. People got bills to pay. Everybody doesn't have time to read books 3, 4, 5, 600 pages. We don't all have the time for that. Give me 1 second here. Let me put this on the charger before it goes out. But you know what? I'll just stop it here and I'll just do a whole nother topic. I think y'all get what I'm saying here. So I'll just come back with a whole nother topic. So salute to everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. And I'll be back sooner than later. 93, 93, 93.